Welcome back to Hardball. Some of the biggest names in political business, I was going to say show business, are fighting for their lives tomorrow night. Joining me now is MSNBC's chief Washington correspondent, Norah O'Donnell, and the Politicos. By the way, the Politico has been so hot this year. You guys are giving the Washington Post, is that still around, the Washington Post, a run for its money? You guys are the hottest political team in town. It's a tribute to Fred Ryan, of course. And the Albritons, of course, Chris. Robert Albritton especially. Let's go look right now. Let's take a look at the exciting race. I want Norah to take over now. North Carolina, Liddy Dole.
This is interesting. This is a seat that does not look good for the Republicans. Elizabeth Dole is fighting for her political life in this seat. If she loses, it will be the first time since 1952 that not a Dole or a Bush is holding elective office. So this is a big deal. And if she loses, if you think about it, it will really change the face of senators in Washington. There will be a whole new breed of people in Washington, fresh blood, that may sweep out the Republican face. She's got a really tough race there.
What do you think, John? That'll really change the complexion of American politics. No Bushes or Doles around. Just being sarcastic. But they're not the most interesting thing in American politics. What do you think, John? Is this the end of a Dole era here?
I suppose it's the end of the Dole era, but of more significance, it shows that a Republican who we would have assumed a year or two ago would have been a lock in a southern state is not a lock.
What did she do wrong?
Powerfully indicating the way the winds of change are switching directions. One, I think you start with the fact that she's the wrong party. In a year when the Republican brand is in tatters, but specifically, she didn't run such a great campaign. Her effort just recently, in the last week or so, to suggest that the Democrat-supported atheists badly backfired. Hagen went up with a pushback ad that was very effective, and it killed Dole in her numbers. So at this point, she's really down, and I don't think we were expecting her to win. It would be a surprise if she does.
Isn't there a problem that she didn't spend enough time in North Carolina? She didn't get home enough.
The Democrats accused her of
incumbent disease. Sure.
Right. They accused her of only being in the state 13 times in 2006 when she was the head of the National Republican Senatorial Committee. They hit her on that. They hit her on her age, and they hit her as being part of the Republican Party. And also interesting in North Carolina, she's helped by Barack Obama at the top of the ticket. I mean, let's not forget too that he has a massive, and the Democrats have spent a lot of time in that state, an African American vote, a ramped up African American vote. Half of the registered blacks in North Carolina have already voted in early voting, and that's going to help Kay Hagan, the Democrat.
I like the fact that she got in trouble for not talking enough, because I always get in trouble for talking too much. Let's take a look at Saxby-Chambliss in Georgia. What's going on there?
Well, here's another place where the national Republican ticket, George W. Bush, is hurting the Republicans there. Saxby-Chambliss, of course, won in that seat 2002 over Max Cleland, which was a pretty dirty race, many people would say. Again, African-American turnout in a state like Georgia. It's been high in early voting. I talked to some Republicans today who said they still think Saxby-Chambliss will win, that the African-American turnout will not be so huge as to sweep him out of office. Also, if he doesn't get over 50% of the vote, there'll be a runoff, and they think that the Republicans can hold on to that seat and win in a runoff.
John, I want you to talk about Mitch McConnell, who's the leader of the Republicans. He's out there in Kentucky, a state that's usually a Republican safe bet. Look at the numbers, however. We're seeing in the polls, they're not crossing yet, but they're getting close. Is he safe and just a little scared, or what?
Oh, he's more than a little scared. He hightailed back to the state. I remember sitting in his office not quite a year ago when we raised this question, hey, look, a lot of times leaders of the party get in trouble back home. He said, that'll never happen to me. I will win re-election. It's a lock. He's really getting a scare here. I think the consensus among most of the operatives is he'll probably pull it out, but it'll be narrow. And it wouldn't be a huge surprise if he ends up getting bounced tomorrow. Another very powerful sign of the times if that happens.
Yeah. Let's talk about a race that got a lot of attention because we all watched Saturday Night Live over the years, and Al Franken is a candidate for the Senate out there against the incumbent Norm Coleman, who I never thought was particularly vulnerable, but you've got a three-way race shaping up out there with the independent Dean Barkley in a state that voted for Jesse Ventura. They know how to vote third party. What's happening?
Yeah, the Republicans are still cautiously optimistic in the state. Coleman may be just up just a bit. They had a really nasty debate last night that got personal, but the third-party candidate, it's not clear who he's drawing more votes from, the Democrat Al Franken or Norm Coleman, the senator. Norm Coleman, though, he's just got maybe just a teeny little lead. If there is a huge wave across this country tomorrow, it may sweep Norm Coleman out of office.
Let's take a look at the debate between Al Franken of SNL fame and the incumbent Norm Coleman.
My anger, Gary, in this is about an ad that's attacking my wife, that's defaming my wife. There should be some limits in this, and I think we've crossed them here.
This is not about Norm Coleman's wife. This is about Senator Coleman's political sugar daddy.
Well, that's pretty rough stuff. I think sometimes, Harris, John, when you have a rough campaign that bothers people because it is rough, sometimes the winner is the third guy.
Right, and Dean Barkley, I do think it's clear that he's drawing somewhat more from Al Franken, just by virtue of the fact that Obama seems up a lot in Minnesota, as you would ordinarily expect him to be, and Franken has not been the beneficiary of that.
Was the DFL, the old Democratic Party, solidly behind Franken? Is that what's going on or not? Or they're not solidly behind him?
No, there's a lot of misgiving. We're hearing reports of a number of districts where the local DFL operatives are not necessarily spreading the Franken literature and doing everything to turn out the vote the way they are doing on behalf of Obama. So there's definitely a somewhat diminished enthusiasm for this particular Senate.
But, Chris, the reason this matters is because how big the Democratic majority is in the Senate will help Barack Obama if he wants to get through all these promises that he has been making to the American people over the last 20 months. He needs more Democrats in Congress if he wants to get an ambitious energy proposal through, the tax cuts, and, of course, the health care that Teddy Kennedy's been
and also,
on.
in fairness, that's also what scares a lot of people. The idea of a one party controlling the ability to override any filibuster. Nora O'Donnell, thank you so much for that. Thank you, John Harris. Again, some kudos to Politico.